Hello students, welcome to all of you Shiksha 360. And today basically we have to start our chapter number 3 part 1, operational aspects of the KYC. So one thing I will tell you here that we will discuss these chapters in detail line by line. What is the reason behind that of discussing these topics? Clear? As you will see that most of the frauds, clear, basically most of the frauds happening, basically we are not taking the proper KYC, clear, as we are early basically in the opening of the accounts, or we can say that basically our opening of the loans. So sometimes we are not able to proper verify the KYC, clear. So that's why I will discuss these all the points in detail, like in the case of the individual what KYC we have to do, and if there is any updation required, what are the OBD, clear, all these things we have to be discussed in detail one by one, basically for the awareness purpose, clear. So please take these subjects, clear, please take these exams as for the awareness purpose also, along with the monetary benefits, clear. Only then it will be helpful. You will see many of the working employees in your organization that they are not even aware basically what are the, like some are working in the different offices. So sometimes basically even they are not aware basically what documents basically we are taken, clear, for opening of the account, clear, whether basically we have to check whether the name of the person, concerned person, it is same on both the documents or not, whether date of birth is to be same or not. So all these things we have to verify. Like one thing, one instance basically I will tell you, the name of the customer, clear, the name of the customer, it is same on both the Aadhaar and the PAN card, clear. But what will happen on the Aadhaar card, it's a husband name, and on the PAN card, it's father name, clear, it is the rule. But later on, clear, like Aadhaar card, we can say that basically date of birth, it is to be not same, clear. There are 3 year difference on that, clear. Even an organization basically opens the account on the basis of that, clear, on the basis of that. Later on, they will find that the PAN card basically it is belong to any another entity, clear. PAN card basically belongs to any another entity, clear, because photo is not properly updated. So we have to be take care regarding all these things, clear. So basically we have to advise the customer to check out whether the date of birth is to be same or not, clear. If it is not same, so we ask them to please keep the data to be same on both the document. And even presently the government will also focus that the, like you are giving the interest rate on the fixed deposit to a senior citizen, basically from where we will take the criteria whether the date of the birth of that person is to be of above 60 years of age or not, clear. So at that time of cases, basically we have to take up the PAN card, clear. We have to take up the PAN card, clear. That is the criteria, because the government also, as you have seen in the budget, they will make the KYC criteria to be simplified, and they will include the PAN card. That is, we have to take the PAN card for these purposes, okay. Because if there is any tax deduction, clear, okay, so that is to be done as per the PAN card. So we have to be update the date of birth in the in our CPS as per the PAN card of the customer. Okay, so these are some of the basic points which I want to discuss, and let's further we will move towards the topic, clear. So these are very important points, clear. So you have to aware yourself, clear. And once again I will tell you, basically please take these subjects as for the awareness purpose also. These are very basic topics and will help us in the long run if we follow the guidelines properly. So now let's start our discussion of the topic. So PMLA and PMLR, clear, these both we have covered already in detail in the chapter number 2. So PMLA and PMLR laid down the legal requirements, clear, basically laid down the legal requirements basically for measures to be taken by various types of the reporting entities. Sometimes basically it is to be written as RE. Clear. So basically PMLA and PMLR basically laid down the legal requirements for measures taken by various types of the reporting entities stipulated under the PMLA. RBI has laid down, clear, RBI has laid down further certain operational norms. Clear, RBI has laid down certain operational norms for banks and other entities. Clear, basically for whom? Basically for banks and other entities regulated by it in its master's directions. Know your customer directions 2016. Clear. So RBI has specified all these guidelines basically in their master direction circular, that is know your customer, that is KYC directions 2016. Further, that is the provisions of these directions, clear, the provisions of these directions are also applicable to the branches, clear. So basically for banks, they have to make, for banks, that is they have to implement these guidelines in their branches, clear. So the provisions of these directions, clear, the provisions of these directions and are also, the provisions of this direction are also applicable to the branches and majority owned subsidiary located abroad, clear, and the provisions of this direction are also applied to the branches and majority or subsidiaries basically located abroad, clear. Like if any bank has foreign branches, clear, abroad branches, so this will be applicable to that also. But sometimes basically question arises, clear, even we have to follow the local rules of over there also, clear. So now what we have to do further, so now let's discuss also, clear. And majority on subsidiaries located abroad, to the extent they are not contradictory to the local laws in the host country, clear. That is basically we have to be follow these guidelines up to the extent that they are not contradictory basically to the local laws in the host country. So in case there is a variance, clear, basically in case there is a variance, or we can say that there is a difference, clear, in case there is a variance in KYC or AML standards, clear, in case there is a variance basically in the KYC or AML standards prescribed by the RBI, clear, prescribed by the RBI and the host country regulators, clear. In case there is a variation basically in the KYC and AML standards prescribed by the RBI and the host country regulators, branches or subsidiary of the banks, clear, branches or the subsidiary of the banks are required, clear, branches or the subsidiary of the banks basically are required to adopt more stringent regulations of the two, clear. So in that case, basically branches or subsidiaries of the banks are required to adopt the more stringent regulations, clear, to adopt the more stringent regulations of the two. Further, that is branches or subsidiaries in India, clear, that is branches or subsidiaries in India of the foreign incorporated banks, clear, branches or subsidiaries in India basically of the foreign incorporated banks may adopt the more stringent regulations of the two, clear, branches or subsidiaries in India of the foreign incorporated banks, clear, basically of what, of the foreign incorporated banks basically may adopt the more stringent regulations of the two, clear, basically may adopt the more stringent regulations of the two, that is standards prescribed by the RBI and their home country regulators, clear, that is standards prescribed by the RBI and their home country regulators, clear. So basically we have to follow which guideline that is more stringent of the two, clear, that is basically we can say that more strict of the two, clear, basically more strict of the two, basically we have to be follow that guidelines. Okay, now we have to move towards the next point. Know your customer norms, clear, know your customer norms, clear. So under the know your customer norms, basically what we have to be discussed, can anyone tell basically what we have to be discussed under the know your customer norms? Very, very important. So I will tell you first of all that under the know your customer norms, what we have to cover, we have to cover first of all that is CAP, clear. First of all we have to cover that is CAP. After that we have to cover that is CIP. Third one basically we have to cover here, that is CDD. Okay, so these things we have to be cover one by one, clear, these things we have to cover one by one. So what is the meaning of the CAP? Customer acceptance policy, clear. First of all we have to move toward the CAP, that is customer acceptance policy, clear. So CAP basically stands for the customer acceptance policy. Now move to the detailed version of that. Very, very important. Customer acceptance policy. The customer acceptance policy of a bank, clear, the customer acceptance policy of a bank lays down the criteria for accepting a customer from the perspective of ML or TF tasks, clear, money laundering or terrorist financing, clear, that is for accepting a customer from the perspective of ML or TF risks. So customer acceptance policy, what should be included under that? Customer acceptance policy should include the following norms. What are the norms? First one, no account is to be opened. Clear? No account is to be opened in the anonymous or fictitious or benami name. Clear? First one, very, very important. That is, no account is to be opened in an anonymous or fictitious or benami name. Second one, no account is to be opened where appropriate customer due diligence measures cannot be applied. Clear? That is, we have to do proper due diligence. Clear? Proper due diligence. So like you will find that in your CBS where you are opening the account, there is one column that is CDD, that is customer due diligence. What is the meaning of that? That you have properly verified all the KYC documents and even the person also. So no account is to be opened. Clear? Here they are saying that no account is to be opened where appropriate customer due diligence measures, clear, where appropriate customer due diligence measures cannot be applied either due to the non-cooperation of the customer or non-reliability of the documents or information furnished by the customer. Okay, very, very important. Third one, no transaction or account-based relationship is undertaken without the CDD procedure. Clear? That is no transaction. Clear? There will be no transaction or account-based relationship. Clear? No transaction or account-based relationship is undertaken. Clear? No transaction or account-based relationship it is to be undertaken without following the CDD procedure. That is without following the CDD procedure. Fourth one, circumstances in which a customer is permitted to act on behalf of the another person or entity. It is clearly spelled out. Clear? That is to be clearly mentioned. That is basically like we can say that in some person that is letter of authority or power of attorney. Clear? So these types of things is to be given. Clear? So circumstances in which clear, circumstances basically in which customer is permitted. Clear? Circumstances basically in which a customer is permitted to act on behalf of the another person or entity. Clear? To act on behalf of the another person or entity, it is clearly spelled out. Clear? That is to be clearly spelled out. Fifth point, to ensure that the identity of the customer. Clear? Fifth point here, that is basically to ensure that the identity of the customer does not match with any person or entity. Clear? To ensure that the identity of the customer. Clear? To ensure that the identity of the customer does not match with any person or entity. Clear? Does not match with any person or entity whose name appears in the sanction lists circulated by the RBI. Clear? That is, a list is to be circulated by the RBI. So we have to check that also. Clear? Whose name is to not to be appears in the sanctioned list circulated by the RBI. Clear? To ensure that the identity of the customer does not match with any person or entity whose name appears. Clear? Whose name appears on the list. Clear? In the sanctions list circulated by the RBI. So these are some of the important points under the customer acceptance policy. Further, to verify the permanent account number, you will also find that many persons have dual PAN card. That is, they have two PAN cards. You will find this one also. One is to be valid and one is to be invalid. Clear? Even some cases, you will find that both are to be valid. They have changed the information on that also. Clear? They have changed the information on that also. What they will do, no one knows. Clear? What is the reason behind that? Clear? Okay, so we have to be take care regarding that properly. So to verify the permanent account number obtained through the facility of the issuing authority. Clear? Obtained through the facility of the issuing authority. Third one, to verify the digital signature of an e-document. Clear? To verify the digital signature of an e-document given by the customer. Clear? To verify the digital signature of an e-document given by the customer, clear, given by the customer also. Next one, like you will find that ION IABF certificate, like it is, if you have qualified, like when you have qualified for the job, you will get a document, clear, e-certificate. On that, you have to verify the digital signature, clear, to verify the digital signature. Last one, next one, that is the mandatory information to be obtained, clear, the mandatory information or the necessary information or mandatory information to be obtained for the KYC purpose during onboarding or periodic updation should be specified in the KYC policy, clear, should be specified in the KYC policy, clear. That is the mandatory information, clear, the mandatory information to be obtained for the KYC purpose, clear, the mandatory information to be obtained for the KYC purpose during onboarding, clear, during onboarding or periodic updation, clear, during onboarding or periodic updation should be specified, clear, or periodic updation should be specified in the KYC policy, clear, or periodic updation should be specified in the KYC policy, clear. So these things we have to be taken, clear, these things we have to take care, that is under the customer acceptance policy, clear, we have to take care regarding all these things. Next one, some additional information regarding that. So any optional or additional information should be obtained, clear, any optional or additional information should be obtained with the prior consent of the customer and after the account is to be opened, clear. So any optional or additional information, clear, any optional or additional information should be obtained with the prior consent of the customer and after the account is to be opened. So let's discuss regarding that. Like first one, in the case of joint accounts, clear, in the case of the joint accounts, CDD procedure is to be carried out for all the joint account holders, clear. In the case of the joint account, customer due diligence procedure, clear, CDD procedure, it is to be carried out for all the joint account holders. Customer acceptance policy, that is CAP, should not result. Customer acceptance policy should not result in denial of the banking or financial facility, clear. Customer acceptance policy should not result in denial of the banking or financial facility to the members of the general public, especially those who are financially or socially disadvantaged, clear. So in the case of the joint accounts, CDD procedure is to be carried out for all the joint account holders. Customer acceptance policy should not result, clear, customer acceptance policy should not result in denial, clear. We have the customer acceptance policy, it is not like that we are not providing the services to the customer, clear, but it means that we have to be providing services only after verifying all the documents properly, clear. We have to provide the services properly only after verifying all the documents properly. This is the meaning of that. So further, in case of the non-compliance, clear, that if we are not following the guidelines, in the case of the non-compliance of the KYC guidelines by an existing customer, bank may decide to close the account after giving due notice to the customer. Like in the case of the CKYC, one thing I just for the information purpose, you will find that in many of the accounts, there is no KYC document, clear, there is no KYC document. But in the CKYC, you have to be upload the document, either UID or like we can say either Aadhaar card or voter card. In the case of the companies, we have to like companies information and their documents, clear. If these documents we have not available, so what we have to do, basically we have to send the notice to the customer, please provide the documents, required documents for the verification. If they are not providing, then after giving the due notice, we have to close the account as per the RP guidelines, clear. So in the case of the non-compliance of the KYC guidelines by an existing customer, bank may decide to close the account, clear. Banks may decide to close the account after giving due notice to the customer, clear, after giving due notice to the customer. Next one, customer identification procedure, clear. Next one, that is CIP, that is to be known as the customer identification procedure. So customer identification basically includes identifying and verifying. Their customer identification basically includes what it includes: identifying and verifying the identity by using reliable, independent source documents, data, or information, clear. So customer identification, what it includes? Customer identification basically includes identifying and verifying the identity, clear, identifying and verifying the identity by using reliable, independent source documents, data, or information. So what is to be required? Customer identification is to be required to be done in the following cases. First one, while opening an account or establishing account based relationship. Clear? While opening an account or establishing account based relationship. Second one, undertaking international transfer for non account holders. Clear? Second one, that is undertaking international transfer for non account holders. Clear? Undertaking international transfer for non account holders. Third one, if a doubt arises. Clear? That one, if a doubt arises about the authenticity of an existing customer or adequacy or correctness of information about the customer. Clear? That is, if a doubt arises about the authenticity, clear, whether that documents are to be genuine or not, clear, whether that person is doing the good or not, clear. So if a doubt arises about the authenticity, in that case, we have to be also done that customer identification, that is okay, of an existing customer or adequacy or correctness of information about the customer. Fourth one, selling any product. Fourth one, that is the selling any product, including the third party products. Clear? Selling any product, basically including the third party products, loading or reloading of the prepaid or travel cards for value of rupees 50,000. Clear? For value of rupees over 50,000. Clear? For value of rupees over 50,000. Next one. On all these purposes, we have to identify, that is customer identification. So carrying out a transaction, clear, carrying out a transaction or a series of connected transactions, clear, carrying out a transaction or a series of connected transactions valuing over 50,000 rupees for a walk-in customer, clear, carrying on a transaction or a series of transactions valuing over rupees 50,000 for the walk-in customer, clear, 50,000 for the walk-in customer. Next one. When there is a doubt that a customer is intentionally structuring the transaction below the threshold level of rupees 50, that there is no PAN card, and you will find that continuously doing the transaction, continuously doing the transaction in that account, continuously doing the transaction in that account. So we have to also verify that customer. Clear? What is the reason behind that? While establishing the customer identification verification of the documents, clear, while establishing the customer identification verification of the documents with the issuing authority through any mode provided by it should also be factored in. Clear? So while establishing the customer identification verification of the documents with the issuing authority through any mode, clear, with the issuing authority through any mode provided by it should also be factored in. Clear? Should also be factored in. If a bank relies on a third party for the customer identification process, so it has to adopt suitable precautionary measures. They like sometimes basically what will happen. Bank has given a contract to any third party, that is you have to be do all this work. Clear? So even that bank has to be take proper verification, basically proper precautionary measures regarding that also. Clear? Like you will see that basically I am not exactly aware that I have heard some news that like SBI has given any third party to do the small loans of Fs up to 50,000. Clear? Like on their service centers also. Clear? Like that person are eligible to do the loans of 50,000 like Mudra loans. Clear? So later on they will find that these are to be not properly verified. Clear? So that they are the same thing. Clear? This type of news I think I have heard, not exactly I'm remember. Clear? So basically person from the SP, they are very well aware regarding that. Clear? So if a person relies on the third parties basically for the customer identification process, so it has to adopt the suitable precautionary measures. So the ultimately responsibility basically it is on the bank regarding the onboarding the customer. Clear? So the ultimately responsibility, clear, that is even the loan is to be given by any third party. Clear? So the responsibility lies basically on the banks. Clear? Whether they have properly verified that or not. Clear? Whether they have properly verified that or not. Okay. So that is regarding the customer identification procedures. So next one, that is the customer due diligence procedure, which we have to take in the next session. That is very, very important. Most important, that is the customer due diligence. Like under that, basically for the individual, what we have to take, Aadhaar documents required, like Aadhaar number in the case of the non-resident Indians. For e-document, how we have to digital signature to be verified, officially valid documents. Most important question, 1 mark question or 0.5 mark question in the examination, that is regarding the OVD. Clear? Like PAN card is to be included under that or not. Presently 10 now, but we will expect in the upcoming time they will include that also. Clear under that? Okay. So these are the important things which we have to be kept in the next session. Okay. So thanks to all of you for joining this session.